Hello, and welcome to the stream, everybody. We're gonna drop this one like it's hot because it's like 110 degrees outside. Like, no joke, it's that hot outside where I am. It is baking, and we're about to bake the Federal Reserve. The things that we're gonna go over in this stream, hopefully it'll be real quick, is we're going to cover the secret accounts at the Federal Reserve and how they've been debunked and how the debunkers have been debunked. We're also going to look at how to access those accounts and why we wouldn't want to access those accounts, but also how to demand proof and servicing and account management. It's very interesting. This is going to be a very interesting stream. We're also going to take a look at the accounts that could be possibly at the Federal Reserve Board, Federal Credit Union, as well as the Social Security Credit Union, and the letters that I have posted freely available to access those accounts. There's a lot of really very interesting information that we have. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to have a look at the. I'm just gonna make sure that my streams are going okay here. Okay. Everything is looking good, except for over on Odyssey. We are streaming on YouTube, Rumble, and BitChute at the moment, it looks like. So please, you can find me there. One of my accounts, so my account over on X is highly suppressed. It's x.com/BelIsoFull, BELISOFUL. We're going to be looking at a couple articles on my blog, govbanknotes.wordpress.com. Again, govbanknotes.wordpress.com. And yeah, we're going to take a look at the debunkers, because there's been a lot of information about people who have said, hey, there's these accounts over at the Federal Reserve, and they're in our individual name, and we can access them, and we can pay our bills with them, and we can pay our mortgages and our student loans with all of these accounts. And the Federal Reserve attempted to put that question to rest with this page on federalreserve.gov, FAQ, the FAQs, frequently asked questions. Does the Federal Reserve maintain accounts for individuals? Can individuals use such accounts to pay bills and get money? Flat out, they say no. Individuals cannot, by law, have accounts at the Federal Reserve. I mean, that's a very interesting statement. And then they say these claims are false. We can pay bills, right? There's no way to access or obtain the money, and that, all of these things that people are saying is some kind of hoax. We'll see how that's not actually true and proven to not be true. And the actual hoax is actually the FBI, the Federal Reserve saying this, and what they're saying is to report these things to the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center at ic3.gov. So technically, the Federal Reserve is actually telling us how to report them to the police over this scam that they're running. Now, they're saying right here, individuals cannot by law have accounts at the Federal Reserve. Individuals is a really interesting specific legal keyword term that doesn't necessarily mean what most people think that it does. An individual is not you or me or any real physical being. Okay, that is very clear that by law, that's, an individual is a legalese, and that's not English. Accounts is probably another keyword. We know the Federal Reserve is a corporation that's foreign, And this whole idea of it being by law, individuals cannot by law have accounts at the Federal Reserve. We're going to come back to that. Put that in your back pocket. So here at the New York Fed, we have scams involving the Federal Reserve name. They're also saying here that there are people who are attempting to access these accounts, gold accounts. Let's become a fraudster, right? They're going through a lot of different things. One of the things that they have, I think, on this page also is the Social Security scam. Well, not a scam. They're saying it that there's no accounts. But I mean, this is another page. We also have over on Snopes, which is holy crap. That in and of itself is we're gonna touch on that for a half a second. Can U.S. birth certificates unlock hidden strawman financial accounts? And they say there is this specious theory that the U.S. has turned citizens into collateral. Was developed by a convicted forger with ties to white nationalists. Now, I mean, obviously, here's the thing. They're just saying this. There's no proof that this is true or false. They are not showing their sources, and yet they're claiming to be a source, which is interesting. So can we use birth certificates? And I mean, birth certificates is kind of interchangeable with Social Security. Okay. In a way, yes and no, yes and no. I mean, definitely no. But, in this instance where they're talking about these things, they're confused. And so they are actually referring also to Social Security, right? So, and it's not a far right group. We know that there are accounts at these, and we'll actually get into that. We'll listen to Harvey Dent actually talking to a bank, confirming that there are accounts with our names in it. That's what this video is. That's what this video is. No joke. I'm going to play it. It'll be fast. Specifically, but I have to play it in a really weird way. So stick with me. So back here on Snopes, they kind of get into a little bit of the theory of what is being said, and the secret has been hidden for 79 years. It's not a secret. That's the thing. And yeah, actually, people are being turned into debt, which, I mean, technically debt is not money and it's not valuable, so it's not collateral, but that's what they do anyway, and then they treat it as such. So, I mean, there is actually some gaslighting going on here. And a part of the idea is we have been sold as property to the Federal Reserve basically as collateral for the debt of the United States to the Federal Reserve, and we are the surety. And so the Federal Reserve takes property ownership by birth certificates. So, I mean, so here's the deal with Snopes. This is the side note. Snopes, if I recall properly, and you can look this up, it should be really easy to look up. Snopes is run by a convicted felon, apparently. Okay, allegedly. I have not gone back and verified this, and the last I heard was a little while ago. So I may be operating on outdated information. Look it up. Not 100% sure, but from what I recall, Snopes is run by a convicted felon who was defrauding people, and his girlfriend, who is a stripper. Now, those classes of people, I don't have a problem with. There's no issue. There's no issue. Those are fine things. However, that does not give them any kind of special knowledge, insider capabilities, viewing, perspective, judgment. I mean, they don't know. They're not in a place. These are not the kind of people who are in a place to be able to judge what is, to judge these things. Law that is in law cannot just be said to not be true. That's gaslighting. That's legal ignorance. And I am 100% sure that the people who run Snopes are actually legally incompetent, I am willing to bet that they don't even know what legal competence even is. They can't say the phrase. They don't know what the paperwork is required. And we're going to cover that actually here. That's one of the elements. They don't have anything. And here's the deal. I'm willing to bet they hire attorneys. I know they have attorneys, quote, represent them, which means that they don't know that the attorney represents the legal identity person who is not them, and that it represents them. So it's actually the attorney representing their legal fiction character, which then represents them. And they think that their character is them, and that's legal incompetence, because you are not an it. It is not us. That's how they own us. So these people who are making these qualifications to fact check it out. Americans can use their birth certificates or Social Security to access secret straw man funds. False. In a way, it's false because it's not secret and it's not a straw man. Doing. And they're not funds. It's debt. Okay. With that aside, let's focus here. Okay, we're looking at Harvey Dent, the Spirit of Truth, about those payment coupons. This is my blog. This is the blog page, and there's other people too, like Eightify.app, where they're, the fact checking the myths of accessing funds via SSN and birth certificates. Again, here's an example where they are combining them in terms of accounting in a way that is, more proper. Or more accurate to reality. And the myth suggests individuals can access their Social Security or birth certificate accounts, their secret accounts, vast holdings of money. It's not money, it's debt. And they just simply legally, fictionally define the term money in legalese as debt. And suddenly, every time now everyone says money, they're actually talking about legally debt, which is not money. So, the terms we use are not the terms we use because of legalese. Okay. They're saying that, people can lead to criminal charges. And this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to come here, is that I wanted to show you that, they are alleging that by attempting to do this, which Harvey Dent has proven is real and true and valid, it can lead to criminal charges. And we also know that Harvey Dent has not had criminal charges, put against him or his straw man, his avatar's legal character, right? So, this is bunk. And then another thing is that's so important, actually, is the Office of Inspector General. One of the reasons why the Office of Inspector General is important, and the Federal Reserve have issued an alert debunking these claims, emphasizing the legal consequences and the baselessness of such theories. So now we're looking at the Office of Inspector General, as well as the Federal Reserve, knowing that these accounts exist and are real and true, and they're for our benefit, because it's based upon our life force. We know that these two organizations are actually involved in the fraud, the Federal Reserve and the Office of Inspector General. Another aside. State of the Nation just published an article here on August 14th of 2014, stateofthenation.co, stateofthenation.co. State of the Nation. This is alternative news and analysis. This is a really amazing website. I love this content that these people are making, guys and girls, I'm sure. And the Counsel, as we now find out that is the top secret organization that is unlawfully running the United States. And, he goes into what is actually taking place, who is the Counsel, who is running the United States. We are unveiling the faces of the elitist assault on America. Gregory Strenstrom, which is an intelligencer. he goes through and basically says that there are a whole host of, guess who, attorneys who are dismantling the United States and, putting it under their own control. And they're all, Inspector General, U.S. Inspector General Michael Horowitz, FBI Director Christopher Wray, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, Director of Office Professional Responsibility Jeffrey Ragsdale, Chief Public Integrity Sector Corey Amundson, Deputy U.S. Attorney General Lisa Monaco, and First Principal Deputy U.S. AG Marshall Miller. These are all people who are current members of the council, and they are actually, there are some Office of Inspector Generals. There are actually some Inspector Generals in this list. This list goes on and on. These are all people who are part of the, quote, deep state of the United States. Former U.S. Attorney General William Barr. We know William Barr is a CIA asset. He is paid off by the CIA. We know this. Like, we actually know that he is a CIA agent. Like, he doesn't work for the, he's not an attorney general. He doesn't work for the Department of Justice. He was on the payroll of the CIA. I have articles. I have a three-part article on former Attorney General William Barr on my website right now. Fabulous, all documented. Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen, Attorney General Richard Donahue, FBI Director Andrew McCabe, former Director Robert Mueller, former Director FBI James Comey, former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder. This one's huge. Special Counsel Jack Smith. This is important because this is one of the guys who is going after Trump right now. And there's a lot of people who are coming out saying it's bogus. There's lawfare taking place against Trump. Read this entire article, because the list goes on and on and on and on. Do you see these people here? Do you see these people? Look at this. Okay, like I said, the list goes on and on and on. This is a huge article. By the way, get off Facebook. Get off Instagram. You don't want a part of that anymore. This guy, he's not going to be... He's a very old man. Let me put it like that. He is in very poor health. And his money will not save him. Blackmail and extortion. Former FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. IRS Director Lois Lerner. Jeffrey Epstein. Why are these people all on the same, under the same thing, right? Do you see this? It goes on. Special Counsel, Press Secretary Jen Psaki, Karen Jean Pierre. My God, at least Jen Psaki was at least proficient at covering things up. I'm not even going to get started on DEI. Everyone says, it's supposed to be a good thing. And then you're like, why are you calling someone a DEI hire? Well, because isn't it supposed to be a good thing? Okay, so these are retaliation. But this is a really interesting one. This is the reason why I was scrolling down. All of these things, interesting. These are people who went against the council. Donald Trump, Roger Stone, General Flynn, Paul Manafort, Mike Lindell, John Eastman, Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, Robert Malone, Christina Bobb. Again, I'm not for or against. I am just, this is what it says. This is what it says. And then, of course, it goes through each instance. Oprah, Harvey Weinstein, Rachel Maddow, The View. Obama produced this. Leave the World Behind. I did watch that. Very strange. Don't Look Up. That was a crazy movie, by the way. Bread and Circus, Kamala Harris. Right? I mean, I can't... I am giving her a pass. I'm giving Nina Jankowicz a pass because she just doesn't know what she's just so out of the loop on like all of it, and she just is trying to be fun and funny. So I mean, I kind of get it. I mean, I almost feel like, in a way, the reason why I feel sorry for her is almost the same kind of thing that I feel sorry for Howard Dean when he was like, yeah. For those of you who remember that was the death knell of his presidential run in his campaign when he did that funny little scream, and I loved it, but a lot of people were like, oh, he's so weird now, and that was the end of that. So, you know, I'm okay. The judicial system is so, I mean, look at this. These are all Supreme Court justices, and, you know, they're a part of the council. And of course, how to dismantle it. You know, I mean, so yeah, go take a look at this. This is on stateofthenation.co. Even USA Today is getting in on this whole social security numbers are not linked to bank accounts. A part of it is the Federal Reserve is not, it's not really a bank. And not really bank accounts. That's another misnomer, is that the Federal Reserve is a bank. They're not. They're actually a holding company for humans. And we are on ice in normal society. We are iced as being in society, and officers take us off ice and put us on the hot seat in their little court rooms. A little throwback to Jordan Maxwell. God bless his heart. So we come back now to Harvey Dent, the Spirit of Truth. And, you know, there's all these people who are saying that these accounts do not exist, particularly this page right here. Okay. And here's what we have to say otherwise. And in order for me to play his stuff, I need to put a little bit of background music, and I'm also going to play it fast.
Welcome to Harvey Dent's Spirit of Truth. I'm your host, Harvey Dent, and today we are going to go back in time 7 years to the summer of 2017.
And we're going to comment.
We debunked the Federal Reserve's debunkers that claimed that individuals do not have accounts at the Federal Reserve. Now, before I start, I am in no way claiming that you can pay bills using a Federal Reserve account. This revisit of historical transactions is not in any way, shape, or form to encourage you to try and make transactions against a Federal Reserve account. It is just to prove that I, myself, was able to verify that the Federal Reserve account that was attached to my Social Security number did exist and that my name was on that account. Without further ado, let's take a look. You are responsible for your own actions. One day I was home minding my own business when another YouTuber hit me up, telling me that on the back of my Social Security card there was a number that started with a letter. That letter corresponded with a number that would be one of the regions of the Federal Reserve Bank, that were I to locate the routing number for the bank that was associated with the letter on the back of my Social Security card, then I could use the routing number and my Social Security number in order to complete transactions online for purchases or bill paying that would allow ACH bank account entries for payment. So my first method of verification was going by online transactions. So I first went to Barclays and bought like $1.6 million in CDs, paid all my PG&E bills. It just kept popping up after I paid them, so I kept paying them. I bought some gold bullion. I opened an Ameritrade, a TD Ameritrade account with $100,000. Eventually, all of these charges were returned with the ACH code of R34. RDFI participation has been limited by a federal or state supervisor.
That's really important.
With this return code, that the financial services institution has apparently accepted and validated the routing number and account number in question, but when they execute the debit instructions, the bank rejects the transaction. So the account and routing number are verified and validated. Looked online for more information on this, and even banking professionals could not make heads or tails of this code. Unfortunately, that did not go through for some regulatory reason that they don't understand. So basically, there are state or federal employees employed to reverse charges from these accounts. That's all I could gather from that code. There are other codes that identify incorrect account number, routing number, or mismatch of account name and account number. So none of those codes applied. only reversed by a state or federal supervisor. Now, the second method of verification was I got a bank employee to verify that the name on the account I was trying to access was the same as the name on the account at the bank that I banked at.
So that check that we deposited, when we tried to collect it from
Federal Reserve?
it came back as altered and fictitious.
Altered and fictitious as far as the check,
Yes,
or
the check.
now if when you processed it through ACH, there's 2 points of authentication, correct? The account number and the name on the account.
Yes, and they do a little more research, like when it comes to the signatures. They look at the payee account, but they didn't give us our funds. The Federal Reserve Bank, they did not give us our funds, so they returned it, and they would not allow us to do so.
They wouldn't allow you to do what?
To collect the funds.
Okay, but the name on the account is the same name as here.
Yes. It's
so
just a check.
the name on the account is the same name as here.
Yes. It's
so
just
that's
a
so.
check. They said that it's altered. It's on their end, unfortunately.
Yeah, but it's I understand.
Now, that discussion occurred at Patelco Credit Union, which used to be Pacific Bell Credit Union, back in 2017. And needless to say, after that discussion, she was a manager. She returned with her manager, and I was informed that my account would be closed. They no longer wanted to do business with me. I had a $5,000 incoming GoFundMe that they basically jacked about $2,000 of it for to pay what had been spent of that check that I deposited, as well as a balance that was due on a credit card. So they closed my account. I was never contacted by the FBI or any authorities that might be pursuing charges, because how can you charge someone for writing a check against their own account? I'm pretty sure that back then, this is even more apparent than today, that they were debunked. Individuals do have accounts at the Federal Reserve. They just aren't owned by the individual that thinks that the name is theirs. They're owned by the entity that owns the name that the account is under. That's right. You don't own your name. Which is why all of the transactions were returned as unauthorized transactions. And it's also why no charges were ever pursued against anyone that participated in this movement that we took part in. Well, except for Randall Bean and Heather Ann Tucci, who were the patsies that were picked up in order to bring the movement to a grinding halt. Again, this video, looking back on my research into the claim that the Social Security numbers are attached to a Federal Reserve account, is not in any way, shape, or form encouraging you to try to make transactions against these bank accounts. You are responsible for your own actions. Until you find your truth, keep looking.
Now, this is really important, because what he said is the bank itself proved that there is an account at the Federal Reserve, that it is under his name, the legal name, and that we can access it. It's just that the check itself was just simply declared as fictitious and, not valid, invalid, and hence unpayable. Now, one of the things that he also added is the account is it's basically owned by the person who owns the name, right? Now, this is where having a power of attorney over the name making us, the administrator of the name, we can use the power of attorney to then, once served upon the Federal Reserve Bank that has the account, we serve them with the power of attorney, and then we say, give me access to this account now. I need all of the records. I need all of the statements for all of the months going back all the way to the beginning, because I'm the account holder and I've never had an audit. You just tell them that you're auditing your account because you're the administrator.
Online business?
And I do have to apologize for the loudness of the music over his thing. It's just I didn't want to get a copy strike in any way, which of course is so easy to do these days. And man, that's a bummer. It looks like the BitChute stream is green screening, so I'll upload the video later to BitChute. So using a power of attorney, we can serve the power of attorney by fax between us as the authorized representative, agent, attorney in fact, over the principal legal person of the birth certificate and social security number. You just serve them with that, and then you have access. Okay? That's how that works. And we'll cover that. So here is how we access those accounts. Here's how you compute the account at the Federal Reserve. On the back of the Social Security card is a red letter following followed by numbers. And we can see here that we have the same thing on Federal Reserve notes. And here's a Social Security card right here. And on the back, there's a red letter and numbers. And these are effectively coming from the same thing. Those are negotiable instrument ID numbers. Okay. So you take the letter, and then you just put it into this table. B, New York. A is Boston, B, New York, C, Philadelphia, D, Cleveland, E, Richmond, F, Atlanta, G is Chicago, H is St. Louis, I is Minneapolis, J, Kansas City, K is Dallas, L is San Francisco. And here's a nice little map of where the districts of each of those Federal Reserve companies are located and have authority, jurisdiction, if you will, over, like this is their territory that they cover. So you take the, and from these letters, you have the routing number. You can see here, that's the third column. And I also posted some contact information for the bank, so you can look at their website and also mail them if you want, and also fax them, call them, get the fax number. I should include the fax number in there. I might update that. So here's the map, and if you want to take a look at a check, here's a check, and you take that routing number from the Federal Reserve, you put in the account number being the Social Security number, and then it doesn't matter what check number you put in. And I have a nice little infographic right here to show how to do that. Okay. You take the number, you take the red letter and numbers on the back, the red letters numbers on the back, you look up the straw man routing number. There you go. Okay, here's that. And then based upon which one, you then take that and put it into the check. And that's it. If you need a name, you can use the name on the Social Security card, actually. Okay, like that's actually like the name on the Social Security number is the name on the Federal Reserve account. That's actually the way that works. Now, again, I don't recommend that you do that. I recommend you do something different. Instead of doing an ACH or a check out of the accounts, my recommendation is to do an ACH into the accounts for like $1, right? Like real cheap, or maybe 50. I mean, it depends on, what you're willing to risk, which I'm pretty sure they would, if what they've done in the past is any indication of what they'll do in the future, they'll just simply reverse it. When they said that they would not honor a check with this information on it, which is what Harvey Dent did, and we heard it's proof it works. So instead of taking money out, do an ACH in. That is not fictitious. They can't claim it to just be ineffectual. They can't just reverse it. It's putting money into the account. It's you're taking your money and putting it into your account. And once you've served them with a power of attorney, a proper military power of attorney over the straw man name, giving you the rights and authorized representative, you have a right to demand your use of that account. And if you put your money into that account with the power of attorney, you're just simply demanding access to your own money now. They can't say no. And here's the deal. When when you put let's just say $1, or if you want to risk it, you put $100. You do a $100 ACH, not out of the accounts, but into one of these accounts. And then you send them your power of attorney. And if they say, no, you can't access it, then you report them to the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center, which is exactly what the Federal Reserve is saying to do, because these claims are not false. And yes, the Federal Reserve Bank does actually provide services. If individuals cannot by law have accounts at the Federal Reserve, then why do individuals have accounts at the Federal Reserve? If by law they're not allowed to have accounts at the Federal Reserve, why did Harvey show that there are? Okay, with that being said, hello, Z. Good to see you on the stream. That's very interesting. Thank you. Yes, I do actually think that is a valid way of accessing these accounts, especially with the power of attorney. I think that actually now might be a good time to go over very briefly the power of attorney. I don't have too much longer to go. Here on my website, govbanknotes.wordpress.com. Over on the left-hand side, we have making of a statutory general durable power of attorney. And I have a sample here that you can download. And this is from Pennsylvania. So, you might have to, you may not be able to use this one, although I've done a lot of very interesting research on power of attorneys in all 50 states and then some. So it's actually 57 federal states, and I have the research below. So this power of attorney will actually work in most of the states because they don't actually have a statutory version. They don't actually say what the power of attorney has to look like. Like there's no specific text in the statute that you have to use. So in the states where that's the case, this one will work because it does satisfy the Pennsylvania. This came from the Pennsylvania statutes before they closed those statutes down, making it such that you can just, almost use any one of them. And on this page, we have some really interesting things here, like where to file and record power of attorneys. Pennsylvania actually tells us where we need to file the power of attorney in order to have it authorized, recorded, get a certified copy of it, and then also tells us that we need to file it, the certified copy, or the original, if you will, at the office of the clerk in the county where the principal resides. Okay, as well as anywhere you want to do business in. So, that would be one way. If you can file your power of attorney in the county where the Federal Reserve Bank in this count, like you just like here, right? So San Francisco County, San Francisco, you find the county. I don't know off the top of my head which county San Francisco is in. You look up the county and then you file it with the office of the county clerk in San Francisco. And then all of a sudden the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco has to honor your power of attorney. So you don't serve your original power, or a copy, I guess, fax. You don't fax a power of attorney to the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. You fax them a certified copy from the office of the clerk of the county where they are principally residing so that you can do business there. Okay? One of the things I highly recommend for your power of attorney is to specify the jurisdiction and choice of law. Okay, it is actually law that says that you do this. Okay, like you can read it. There's a link right here. I'm doing my best to make it simple. Specify the jurisdiction is law of peace. Everything under the United Nations is law of war. Okay, the choice of law is law of peace. You just put that in your power of attorney, both for you and the agent, and all of a sudden their courtrooms with the gold fringe flag under Army Regulation 840-10, Section 2-3, Part B and C. That's where the gold fringe flag is defined, by the way. Military courtrooms. Choice of law, law of peace. That's how you get around that. And one of the reasons why it has to be a military power of attorney is because it fits United States code. It also, I mean, there's a lot of very interesting reasons why it needs to be a military power of attorney, especially since it is exempt from any requirement of form, substance, formality, or recording that is provided for power of attorney under the laws of a state. Okay, so if you have a military power of attorney, you don't even have to record it. It shall be given the same legal effect as a power of attorney prepared and executed in accordance with the laws of the state concerned. Make it a federal military power of attorney between you, which, by the way, you are going to need separate non-legal identity papers like common law ID or World Government of World Citizen. I like that, by the way, as a solution, particularly under the United Nations. Now, this is where I go a little bit bonkers because I had a little bit of time and I wanted to do all the research, make it really easy for everybody. Here under, again, on my website, banknotes, govbanknotes.wordpress.com, here under making of a statutory general durable power of attorney, here's the page. At the bottom, we have literally every single state in the United States. You can see it, you know, like they're going by real fast. Kentucky, every single state. This is the power of attorney laws that are basically the thing that is important in every single state. It took me like a week to put this together. Okay. Tennessee, Texas. It goes on and on and on. Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming. And then, of course, I did federal territories as well because I wanted to know what are they doing with power of attorneys in the District of Columbia. So I looked it up. Here's all the power of attorney stuff relating to power of attorneys in the District of Columbia. American Samoa, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, that's very interesting, and of course Virgin Islands. So go there and look up your state and you will find a lot of very interesting things. Now, I mean, if you want to do some research, go look through this and just study all the states, because one of the things that was interesting was they have made this thing called the Uniform Power of Attorney Act, and they're basically making power of attorney uniform across all the 50 states, or at least attempting to, and it's kind of piecemeal. You know, some states adopt some parts of the uniform code and the others don't. So, I mean, some places, like I said, have the actual statutory form, right? Like here, like in Iowa, and I'm sorry, in Idaho, here is what it needs to say. Here is the actual document that you'd need to use, okay? And I mean, that's what I mean by, you know, I did a lot of the work. And there's places where it doesn't say that there is a statutory form. And I also attempted to put in, you know, other little notes like the durability is provided. So like it's, you know, it's like automatic. So look up your state. You can put in your power of attorney. You know, I talk about a little bit how to go about making it, I think, in some places. Yeah, there's some list here. Okay, make sure you have the notary sign for the legal person because it's disabled. It doesn't have hands and you are not in it. So make sure the notary signs for the legal person because it's disabled. It doesn't even have a mind to think. So, okay, back to these. So, sorry, I keep pushing the button. Back to the power of attorney. Back to the power of attorney. I'm sorry. Back to these Federal Reserve accounts. This is definitely the way to go. I would definitely recommend that if you're going to go down this road, that you deposit a little bit of money and then demand the account. And I mean, that's pretty much the whole thing. That's pretty much the whole deal. You know, deposit a little bit of money, use your power of attorney to demand access to it. And, you know, we'll see. Once we've demanded access to it, and yes, we should get access to all the prior account statements for each month as an audit. But once we have access as the power of attorney, authorized representative of that account, that's actually when we can start using it. So like once you've put the money in, you can then start, like technically by law, you've affirmed that it's there and you can access it. Once you put money in, you can start taking money out. Again, not legal advice. I'm just saying that's technically what is going on. All right. So I'm gonna move on just a little bit because it does go a little bit deeper than that. I mean, that pretty much covers everything regarding these Federal Reserve accounts here. Here's the little infographic. I just wanted to cover very briefly that there appear to be also accounts, quote, secret, but not so secret accounts at the Social Security Credit Union, as well as the Federal Reserve Board Federal Credit Union. Okay. And I sent them the letters. I did. I sent them the letters. Here is one of the letters that I sent to the Federal Reserve Board Federal Credit Union. And you can see here, this is the form letter. Okay. Like you can copy paste. It's downloadable on the site. You just go there, just type in a search for my letter to access the Federal Reserve Board Federal Credit Union secret bank account. The article will come up, but you can download this. So you send it to their fax. Okay. And, it's pretty simple. I am the non-legal person, and then you give your competency statement so that they can't say no. And then you just tell them, hey, look, I'm the attorney in fact, agent, administrator, and authorized representative for the legal name. They have been served. Here's the Social Security number, birth certificate. At least for me, it was Pennsylvania, right? My status as agent is proven by the appended, perfected, and served Pennsylvania General Durable Power of Attorney. So you're laying out the identity. And then you just tell them, hey, look, you have at least one account over there. And, you just tell them, hey, give me access to it. You say, hey, give me, you have 3 business days, which is the statutory amount of time under UCC, with which they have to act. And they have to at least say no if it doesn't exist. There is actually an account agreement, funny enough, on the Federal Reserve Board Credit Union. Like all banks have some kind of account agreement. And it says that power of attorneys can basically be, approved or rejected, based upon just what they want. So there's a couple of other things. I'm not going to go over it right now, but I haven't looked at this in a long time, so I'd have to go back and kind of really think about it. The whole point actually was just to go over the Federal Reserve Board, but I just wanted to show you that there are these, this is how I accessed. I didn't access it because they just didn't give me access, by the way, which is crazy. Okay. I served them by fax my power of attorney, and I said, give me access to these accounts. And I didn't hear back from them. They didn't say yes. They didn't say no. That is fraud. That is where, if they're not going to say anything, FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center at www.ic3, the letter 3 and the number 3.gov, ic3.gov. These people need to be reported, man. They do. They really do. All of them. So, just a real brief side. This is crazy. This is wild. I can't believe this happened. After I served the Social Security Credit Union with the power of attorney and faxed them this information, they didn't call me back. They didn't send me a letter. They didn't fax me. They didn't send me an email. There's no call. There's no text. Nothing. I just waited. I waited the 3 days, right? I called them on the 4th day. I called them and I said, hey guys, you got my fax. I know you got my fax. It was confirmed. What's the deal here? And he just screamed at me like, there's no accounts and da, da, da. And I was like, put me on with your manager. And he said, I am the manager. He was pissed. And I said, well, if you're the manager, then and you won't respond to this letter as power of attorney for me demanding access to the accounts, and the only thing that he does is just get angry at me when I call, then I'm going to need to talk to the attorneys for the Social Security Credit Union. Put me online with the attorneys or give me their contact information. He didn't. At that point, he hung up on me. I called him back. I said, you can't hang up on me. I'm the authorized representative of the account. You can't just tell me these accounts don't exist. People have already done ACHs from these accounts, just like Harvey Dent said, just like Harvey Dent did. And they do exist. They got reversed. These accounts are not just at the Federal Reserve, but in apparently a lot of different major banks. Again, that's alleged. Social Security Credit Union and the Federal Reserve Federal Credit Union, we're pretty certain that they're, I mean, from what I know, yes, that has actually been tested and there are accounts there. And it confirmed by the fact that they will not say no. And so at some point, the Social Security Credit Union actually blocked my number with the phone company because they didn't want me to call them anymore. That was how they dealt with me. They didn't say no in writing. The in writing part is really important, by the way, because as soon as they put it in writing, now they can be held accountable. And the fact, I mean, make a recording. If you're going to call these people, make sure you do a recording. And of course, before you do the recording, as soon as they pick up, you say, you know, for quality insurance purposes, this phone call is being recorded. This phone call is being recorded for quality insurance purposes. This phone call is being recorded. You just say it real quick right at the beginning, and like no one catches it. They're listening. They are there. They know. They've been informed. Record these conversations with these people. Tell them. There are some states where you don't need to tell them. But, you know, if you're in that state, you'll know. Otherwise, assume that you do actually have to tell them that you're recording. Say it. Call them up. This call is being recorded. Hey, how's it going? Yes, I'm the agent for the principal who's, you know, you are managing the accounts of. Give me access. Okay. And that has happened that was the Social Security Credit Union. They blocked my phone number. I have another story, and then I'm going to dip out. The Federal Reserve Board, Federal Credit Union, when I sent them my letter, there was this absolutely bonkers thing that happened with them. They, not only did they not respond to me, and I did send it to them multiple times. I even called them multiple times. They didn't block my number, thank God. Although every time I talked to them, they would just say, we're going to have to put this up to like someone higher up. So we're going to need to get your phone number and name, and they'll call you back. And of course, you know, that's acceptable with the exception that they didn't call me back. Okay. Which is kind of bonkers, because now I don't have anything. They didn't say no. They didn't say yes. They just let it hang. We know they have the accounts. We've proven it. We know they're liars. We know they're gaslighting us that these accounts don't exist, and yet we know they do. What are they doing with them? So here's my little story about, and I think this actually came from the Federal Reserve and not the Social Security Credit Union. I mean, they're just honky over there. I mean, it was just one guy, and he was just pissed, and he was like, "Eh." Okay, but the Federal Reserve, we know that the Federal Reserve is like bonkers. Okay, and here's the deal, because this is wild. A few days after I called up the Federal Reserve about the faxed power of attorney and instructions. Now, keep in mind, I did not do the ACH into the account. Okay, that is not something I don't have a bank account. I didn't have a bank account then. I don't have a bank account now. I just was not able to do it. But I mean, I wish I had, so that I could have at that point in time, and I would have at that point in time. But I wasn't, and so I didn't, and this is just what happened. So, I mean, I think that's one of the issues with my process. I mean, it shouldn't have been an issue, but So here's what happened. A few days after I made the call and they said that they would call me back and they didn't, there was this weird anonymous Craigslist posting with a picture of a mule. And in this Craigslist post, which was anonymous, it said, there is an attorney ass for free. You just need to call up this phone number, and they put my phone number. Now, I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing a little bit, but I mean, it was so unusual. The way that they were making that the phraseology was just, it was like, they referred to me like a lawyer or an attorney, which was like, you know, I mean, the only thing that I had done in the recent period was the Federal Reserve Board credit union account stuff. That's like what I was doing at the time. That's what I was exploring and asking for. And then this appeared, and I'm like pretty certain it was connected to that, which means that the Federal Reserve Board actually paid someone off to harass me, which means that the Federal Reserve Board is actually directly involved with targeting individuals. And one of the things that is just it blows my mind, you know, if the Federal Reserve is targeting people, what kind of technology are they using to target us? Individual. So here, this right here, urgent, Justin Carter exposes targeted individual industry targeting American civilians. They're using frequency weapons. This guy is a whistleblower and is exposing the frequency weapons being used because he used them. He was at a company that was subcontracted by the U.S. intelligence agencies to actually use frequency weapons on people. That's what this guy is saying. I have a page on my blog that actually I run through the whole thing that he goes through here and I typed it out the notes. I typed out the notes on my website. You know, it's like what I do. So, you know, if the Federal Reserve Board is, you know, targeted me with Craigslist as like, you know, in order to, if you will, crowdsource the harassment to my phone, I got multiple calls and text messages about me being, you know, an ASS, or about the ASS, or the donkey, the mule, the calling me these names, and, you know, people laughing at me like, oh, you're so stupid. And it's like, you know, I mean, after I realized after multiple text messages, I finally just was like, well, okay, I texted someone like, where are you getting this? And the person said it's on Craigslist. And so it's like, oh God. So I looked up on Craigslist, and it turns out that there was some guy, and he posted it in the county where the phone area code was listed to, even though I'm not there, which is, that tells you something, right? The only people that had my phone number was the Federal Reserve Board Federal Credit Union. And they looked at the area code. I'm pretty sure that they just looked at the area code and like paid off the guy to post a thing at the Craigslist for that area that made fun of me as some kind of attorney, legal, you know. And what is so, this is wild, because what I did is I took a couple pictures of the Craigslist post. I then reported it as like literal harassment to Craigslist. They took it down immediately, which, you know, thank God, right? They took it down immediately, and I used the information and I backtracked it to the actual phone number of the person who posted it. And it turns out it was like this like weird independent subcontracting security agent man in that area. And I mean, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he had like a web page with like his picture and phone number on it. And I was like, it's like something about the listing listed his like some metadata somewhere listed it back to his security company. And you know what I mean? Like I got him. I texted his cell phone and I said, dude, why did you do this? Like, I know you posted this picture of a donkey. What are you doing? And tell me why I shouldn't report you to the police. And he didn't text me back. And that was my message to that group of people, to leave me the heck alone. I am actually a computer securities expert. I have done real-time computer coding security work, thousands of dollars an hour. I know my stuff. They didn't know that I could just find them that easily. So this is the reason why I wanted to report all of these, what is going on here. Because, these people really are, butts and butts and butts. We know these accounts exist.
State federal supervisor. Now the second method.
Okay. You can use the method and again, put the money in, do an ACH into the account, use your power of attorney to then demand access. And that should be it. You can look it up. Harvey Dent, how to use the SSN to pay any bill through the Federal Reserve, which, by the way, is connected to the IMF. Thank you. And to end off this stream, I was going to show one of my more recent edits that I did because it's getting some traction, but I mean, this is really fun. So this is Kamala Harris, and I want to point out that she's number 2 for pressing the nuclear button next to Biden. I'm sorry, next to Biden's handlers. And what's so ridiculous about this is how can she be ready to push the nuclear button when she doesn't even understand how clouds in the sky work?
It's no longer in a physical place.
Here is Vice President Kamala Harris trying to explain cloud storage.
So you're now no longer are you necessarily keeping those private files in some file cabinet that's locked in the basement of the house. It's on your laptop, and it's then therefore up here in this cloud that exists above us, right? It's no longer in a physical place.
Yeah, but it only works on cloudy days. Now compared to former Vice President Dent Quayle.
Hawaii has always been a very pivotal role in the Pacific. It is in the Pacific, the part of the United States that is an island that is right here.
For those of you whose eyes may be fluttering in disbelief, let me repeat that. Hawaii has always been a very pivotal role in the Pacific. It is in the Pacific. It is a part of the United States that is an island that is right here. Uh-oh.
It's no longer in a physical place.
Here is Vice President Kamala. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me on the stream, and I will catch you on the next one.